Good afternoon, and thank you for making your way here today to see this unusual artist book exhibition. Thank you for braving the rain, although we have a bit of a let-up, thank goodness. With World Poetry Day in mind on the 27th of this month, the librarians of the archive and special collections where you stand wanted to celebrate in some way, having seen my collection, asked me whether it would be possible to show some textual and innovative typographical books for the occasion. Remembering our previous shows, which David has mentioned, the one at the Johannesburg Art Gallery in 1996 and the other at Art Klop in 2006, I immediately said it would be quite impossible. However, David Payton and my colleague Rosalind Cleaver gently persuaded me that it would of course be possible if they did all the work. I relented and have greatly enjoyed co-curating the exhibition before you. David is the authority on South African artist books, which you will see if you visit his extraordinary website hosted by the University of Johannesburg at, remember this, www.theartistsbook.org.za. This has become a major site in the artist book world. David is greatly respected in this field in world academic circles. His catalogue for this exhibition is another major contribution, his having previously written widely on the subject, and that includes his masterful thesis. I first started collecting artist books in the 1970s, which luckily was the, to coin a phrase, the incunabula of the genre. And there was a dearth of information at that time about the subject. In the last 50 years, however, there's been an explosion of what are now called the book arts, with a large amount of information on the subject becoming available. There doesn't seem to be a week in which a thesis or a book on the subject, a new book on the subject, now becomes available. On David's website, there is an extensive bibliography on the subject, which you're all welcome to look at. All the books in this exhibition are post-1970, bar one, by Iliazd, which is the name of Ilya Zanovich, an artist working in Paris in the 1920s when that book was published. This was a constructivist book in a way, constructivism being around about between the two world wars, and often called Russian constructivism, but in fact existed throughout Europe. And Zanovich worked in Paris with major artists such as Miro and others. It's interesting that the Museum of Modern Art in New York has spent the last 4 years specializing or collecting Eastern European constructivist books from places like Hungary, Poland, those kind of countries where you wouldn't expect to have such a tradition in this field. Several books on display, in contrast tonight, are trade books, which have features of artist books, but still may be purchased from bookshops and or on the internet. One book in the vitrine nearest the door, called S, by J.J. Abrams, who was responsible for the films Star Trek and other films of that nature, is piled high in exclusive books at this moment. So they don't have to be old. One of the most frequently discussed and controversial aspects of artist books in academia has become the way they are shown at exhibition. A defining character of the artist's book being its sequentiality, which books, but especially artist books, share with film and video. Unlike paintings, graphics, or sculpture, fine artists do not normally dictate how you should view their work. One does not have to start looking at a picture at the top right and finish at the bottom left, or nor does one have to start looking at a sculpture with its northern aspect and work around it in clockwise fashion. But with a book artist, they hope that you will start at the beginning and end at the end, much like a book. My father always used to read the last chapter of a book first, which kind of defeats the object. Films, however, are shown in cinemas. One doesn't view the film canister or a DVD in a vitrine. So the problem with exhibiting rather than reading or paging through artists' books is which aspect to show. One may show the cover, which might be a beautiful binding, a particular page or a particular illustration, or the title page, or even the colophon, but not everything, which is impossible to show everything, unless the book, of course, is an accordion fold, rather than a codex, a bound codex. But even with an accordion fold, you can usually only see one side. Major libraries, when confronted with this problem, have taken to showing the book next to a digital turning of the pages on video, or on some other interface, these days usually an iPad. In Dublin, you can see a different page of the Book of Kells every day, or of course the whole thing if you buy the facsimile manuscript, or the video of the turning of the pages. Thus, books are meant to be haptic, a favorite word of David's, which means that the viewer should turn the pages himself or herself to experience the artist's full intentions and conception. In layman's terms, this means just, please may I touch. Unfortunately, at this exhibition, you can't touch. But despite this limitation, there have been wonderful book art exhibitions which leave one with the desire to touch and to see more. Only libraries can provide this full dimension under controlled viewing conditions. We therefore encourage university libraries, in particular, to collect and show artists' books, especially local ones, of which there are more and more. South African artists, believe it or not, are making artists' books faster than I can collect them. I can recommend collecting artists' books as they provide an experience not quite equaled with any other of the fine arts separately. They may incorporate fine bindings, hand paper making, all the graphic arts, including etching, lithography, screen printing, lino cuts, etc., letterpress typography, innovative typography, and even with some unique artist books, painting in oils and watercolor. We have one unique artist book on display in that case over there, which is a hand-painted watercolor book. And that is to say nothing of textual content, which is inclined to be forgotten, because artist books are often shown in art galleries connected with universities rather than libraries. And there's always a fight about this, but normally the art gallery at a university wins the toss. Books are also three-dimensional and therefore sculptural objects, and artists have found a plethora of innovative ways to delight the senses by incorporating every possible medium into their structures. On display tonight we have one book made of straw, several books which incorporate fabric, one mechanical book which is made out of metal. There are also glass books, and I can't begin to tell you the number of books these days which are made of plastic and printed on plastic. You'll notice there are only 40 objects on display tonight, so it's a select collection, and we've kept them small mainly because they have to be in vitrines, and we didn't have large enough vitrines for huge books. I hope this exhibition will give you some inkling of what is possible, and to this end we have also included some broadsides. A broadside being a single-page book using the same techniques of letterpress and graphic techniques as the artist books themselves. I hope you all enjoy this exhibition. Buy the catalogue, visit the website. Once again, thank you to all of those at UJ for hosting this exhibition, and to all those who have made this exhibition possible. Thank you very much.